All he does is stand there and spit at you, followed by spending the rest of the fight running away from you like a big old bitch. Spyro is ridiculously tight.
Oh my god, Agent 9 is now a third-person shooter! Yes! Yes!
I'm so happy they did this. Even that awful first-person mission in Fireworks Factory plays like an actual first-person shooter and not like if Wolfenstein was made by a baby. Mid-air whenever he's flying or charging mid-air after a jump, which further adds to his cat-like movements. Honestly though, I'm in two minds about Sparks having feet. On one hand, it's kind of adorable, and on the other hand...
Stop waving at me right now!
Also, you can do this in the level loading screens. Okay, well, I didn't say it was fun. This is, though.
Enough positivity! I just flicked the bastard caddy switch!
Bentley boxing is still awful and way too difficult. I'm only joking, it's easy as piss, and if you still can't do it nowadays, then you're just shit. Look at these Norks in Twilight Harbor, the last main level of the game in Spyro 1. What should be aggressive and horrible enemies with vicious machine guns are now aggressive and horrible enemies with paintball guns.
What is this, Peppa Pig?
You know the classic bone dance in Spyro 2 and 3 when you help Ooga put his skeleton friend back together? Well, now there's unironic air horns trying so desperately hard to be cool and hip it's embarrassing. And now the skeleton flosses. It's terrible and I hate it. And even better, if you didn't know beforehand, after you finish that mission, you find out from Hunter that you need another power-up to do another mission that follows it. So you carry on with the game, get the head bash move, return to Fracture Hills to do the second part of the mission, and you have to do the Alchemist part all over again!
And while I'm in the middle of bitching about particular missions, I'm gonna go off for a bit on this one. And I know what you're expecting me to say, you know, that one mission in the entire trilogy when every time you fail it, you hear the same line over and over again.
Trouble with the trolley, eh?
But no. I'm not talking about that one.
Because aside from the first time I deliberately failed the mission just so I could record that line, I did this mission on my first try. It's really not that bad. I don't know why people have such an issue with it. Back on track with the Reignited specifics here. The voice acting as a whole in the PS4 remakes across all three games I found to be... okay. The entirety of Spyro 1 is great, but that's because anything is better than the original Spyro 1.
Spyro, it's great to see you, but I've got to go.
What? And I must be clear, a lot of these voices in the stages and interpretations of returning characters I actually adored. The Professor sounds great, Elora sounds adorable, Moneybags is as sleazy as ever, Spark still can't talk properly and it's brilliant. Bianca is more expressive, Sergeant Bird is way less one-note and has more character in his inflictions, Sheila sounds great, Zoe is at least 7 times less annoying, but for most of the other voices, I'm sorry, I think they were better in the original game. They seem to do the Ratchet & Clank PS4 way of interpreting a classic, sacrificing the core ridiculousness and humour for cliched and forgettable cartoon show voices. Not only that, but even Ripto, most people's favourite bad guy in Spyro history, has gone from a pathetic and slightly campy, frustrated menace who thinks he's bigger than he really is,
You singed my cape, dragon.
to an angry and annoyed... man.
You singed my cape, dragon.
I can't describe it any better than that. He's just an angry person to me and nothing more.
The good thing, I suppose, is that Spyro no longer sounds like a bratty, insufferable douchebag.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
So thank you very much for that, SpongeBob SquareBob SuperBob.
Now, I have indeed taken a look at a few questionable games from Crash many years ago on this channel. Wrath of Cortex was one of them, and I'm not going to bother looking at it in this video because I already went through it top to bottom in depth not that long ago. But suffice it to say, aside from the great controls, the enemies are pathetic and can barely touch you, the bosses from Crash 3 do nothing but poke you, Cortex's eyebrows have a mind of their own, the levels are way too big, Coco gets stuck floating in boxes, Monkey Bar swinging is slower than corpse decomposition, your eyes escape your head and float in mid-air, and Crash looks like an inflatable sex doll, which makes me want to be sick in my mouth. There's also this one level here where you can beat it to get the crystal by just letting go of the controller. Yes, I'm not joking about that. This is supposed to be a minecart race where you pick different routes to take to try and get in front of Crunch, and you don't need to press a single button and you will win. This game is a masterpiece. We don't fight because the ancients won't let them do it. No, not even once. Don't want to piss off those ancients. Oh, by the way, who are the ancients? You know what's even weirder about this though? The first line spoken in this cutscene is,
How many times must you be told? You cannot defeat me.
So why does Uka Uka even try to fight Aku Aku after all of that? Why give him the ancients excuse? You both can't hurt each other. Aku Aku said so. Do you have memory loss, Uka Uka? Can Wood get Alzheimer's? Anyway, after this, Aku Aku has had enough and is about to bring the thunder.
This bickering can go on no longer.
Or he's gonna sound like a fed-up mother.
And logically, just like when you catch your own kids bickering, there's only one way to settle it. Illegal cage fighting.
Even Uka Uka says in the boss cutscenes,
You must first meet an old friend.
so if they're old friends, why are we fighting the bosses? If the bosses are evil and friends with Uka Uka, including the final boss, doesn't that mean that the evil side already wins this argument by default? What's going on? Why are we fighting them? Oh, don't worry, he's flat now. This story is a total disaster, no other words. It's as much of a mess as Tiny Tiger's character model. Cortex's hair, though, is on point. Look at it. It's so on point that it is a point.
Well, it's not in there, and that's probably the saddest thing. Oh, I don't know. Maybe if I shout at it, it will be better. Oi! That didn't work. But don't fret! I mean, did you like Crash Team Racing? Yeah? Good. Well, have I got the steal for you? Because for the low, low price of $3, you can get Crash Team Racing, but on the PS2 with better graphics, and you fall through the floor all the time!
Oh yes, sign me up, Bandicoot boy. In many ways, this is just a carbon copy of Crash Team Racing, but just not as good. It's even apparent in the adventure mode. The plot of CTR is aliens, and the plot of Nitro Kart is aliens. But instead of Oxide threatening to turn Earth into a giant concrete parking lot, you have this guy called Velo who just steals you to race a bunch of times to entertain other aliens on another planet. That's basically it. And his beard is the shape of the first letter of his name.
I mean, what kind of asshole does that?
Oh look, we've got a boss race heading our way. I wonder who will be fighting from the Crash universe today.
Oh. Him.
This delightful little cherub is called Krunk. Don't know who he is? Neither do I.
Oh, that did not feel good.
And I don't even want to know what noise you'd make if you did feel good.
Just when you thought they couldn't mess it up anymore and that they should have let Crash Team Racing die with dignity, here we have another Crash Kart Racer, Tag Team Racing. But it's okay because Jetix Magazine says it's the best Crash game ever. And everyone knows who Jetix Magazine is.
Hey everyone, it's me, your favourite primetime family-friendly YouTube superstar, Gump!
So immediately, I do have to give Tag Team Racing some credit. The story mode here is at least something different and not another random alien invasion. The plot here is that you're battling Cortex and accidentally stumble into a theme park built entirely for roller coasters and racetracks. Is that a wang? And you get roped into recovering the power sources for each of the theme park's lands that were mysteriously stolen from Von Clutch over here. But we're only helping him to do that because whoever does help him wins ownership of the entire park, which Cortex really wants to do, and we can't let him do that.
Perhaps a riddle or two! That's my Trolley Pack mascot, Willy Wumpa Cheeks.
That sounds like a character from an adult movie.
Smash Brandy's cooch.
Yeah, probably that one. As we all know, nobody can clink the clonk as good as Crash Badinky Donk.
By doing this, you briefly turn the game into Mario Kart Double Dash, but for war criminals.
Oh, and did you know? This game is a platformer?
Yeah, Tag Team Racing also has a giant hub world that's as much of a single game as the racing itself, despite being called Tag Team Racing! Couldn't you guys just focus on getting one gameplay style nailed instead of forcing as much in as possible? Did I just die from jumping into a bridge? You can also physically abuse the customers in the park, which is very cathartic because I used to work in retail, and the amount of times I wanted to take the head off of a customer and kick it like a football is uncountable.
You can even kick the children! This is a 7+ game with child beating!
Actually, is this how old you need to be to play the game, or how many years in prison you'll get for child abuse?
You know, welcome to Crash Tag Team Racing, where we don't like racing.
I'm a girl!
Yeah, Crash, what's wrong with you? Women can't fight back!
Yo-ho-ho in a bottle of Wumpa Whip.
Is it rude to say that I hate you?
Hey, Caddy, look over here! I'm Charlie Window! I'm not in the mood for this. Can you please give me the next game? Oh, okay. I just wanted to let some light into your world. Can you give me the next game? Okay, fine. Don't be such a glass hole. Give me the next... Go get it! Skylanders Imaginators. This isn't a Crash game. Well, this cartoon says otherwise. Cartoon?
You don't even know the half of it, mate.
Oh, no.
Extreme Rescue Mission!
Oh, my God. What is this?
I was on the Wumpa Islands and about to free my friend Tawna from the clutches of the evil Dr. Neo Cortex.
Is this show trying to get a rise out of me? Because it's working.
You could make a strong argument in favor of that show.
You're getting a rise out of me, Skylanders. Yep. Oh, I'm angry. I'm rising, right? I'm rising like a souffle!
I'm sorry, but what in God's unholy pants is this? I don't care if this show is any good. Judging by this inclusion of Crash, I really don't care. Pure and simple, this is not Crash Bandicoot. This is not the point of his character. He's a mute dumbass meant to tribute other mute dumbasses in old Warner Brothers cartoons. To not only give him a voice, but a brain is completely missing the point. Crash is planning. He doesn't plan. He eats the things he's supposed to be collecting. This is going to be controversial, I know, but I honestly prefer the horrible Crash 2 promo video version of Crash over this, because at least Crash wasn't a fully established character at that point, and he was still an idiot in that. They could have used anybody here if they needed a character like this. It shouldn't have been Crash. Hashtag not my Banuka. Oh my god, it's magic! Look who it is! From my toy! It's Crash Banuka!
So this is called the Mysterious Ancient Place.
And you have a mysterious ancient face.
A name that will echo through the ages.
Regardless if you love or hate Skylanders, how can anybody be okay with the slug-like speed you move? Oh great, here we go everyone. Crash of the Titans. Okay, so this intro cutscene I actually really like. This shadow puppet art style with no dialogue is a very unique way to set up the story, even if it reminds me a bit too much of Jungle Book 2, and I don't ever want to be reminded of Jungle Book 2. Hey, at least Cortex is still pretty funny, there is always that.
Mika, sucker! Hey, genius, I can't actually hear you. I'm really far away, and I'm flying like a hovercraft or something.
There's no dashing or darting around, it's all incredibly straightforward. Crash runs around like he's late for a meeting, and most bafflingly, he doesn't even start the game with the spin move, which is like Sonic starting a game without being an annoying dick. Oh, okay, I got an achievement. What was it for? The right stuff? What right stuff? What, you mean this? This was the right stuff? I'd say this was the wrong stuff. But of course, I am blissfully ignoring the other major aspect of this game, which is presented to you on the front of the box. And I'm mostly avoiding it because of what it's called. It sounds like you're putting someone off. And do you want to see where I couldn't take it anymore? Right damn here. This is apparently Uka Uka. Yes, this Uka Uka. Way to completely toss aside your old fans that you're still trying to attract back into the series after the platforming apparently got too stale. I mean, I think that it's a cool as hell mask design on its own, but that is not Uka Uka.
I will take the Mojo and Bandicoot female back to our base.
That's my nan. And Cortex, my goodness. You know, I've heard people complain about Cortex's look in Crash Bandicoot 4, and here I am saying, huh? You serious? You could always end up looking like this. Cortex here looks like a cross between a toddler and an old man. Or a balding Pinocchio. Limb proportions are all wrong. He looks way too humanoid. He's too tall. And again, people complained about Crash 4 or the Insane Trilogy even. Just look at this climbing animation. Look at it. Is this Crash Bandicoot or The Exorcist?
Overall, when you see the Crash Bandicoot 4 announcement trailer and hear this little exchange at the end of it...
How many times have you beaten this clown anyway?
3.
Really? Only 3? Funny. Seemed like more.
I can totally understand now why they decided to split the timeline after Crash 3 and pretend like the other games didn't happen.